Hey everybody, I just wanted to start this video by wishing you a happy Halloween and also to let you know that we're gonna be going over 3 games that I've played on my Speedrun account with the Jobava London. So without further ado, let's dive right into the games. Okay, looks like the construction site upstairs is on a lunch break, so we're gonna try to sneak in Jobava London and facing 2400 opponent almost. Getting starting position of the Jobava London, and he plays light square bishop inside the pawn chain. Gonna go for e3 and wanna develop bishop first and then the knight. So bishop d6. Happy to see the double left pawns. I'm not taking, not retreating. I just like to leave it as it is and play double left pawn structure. Okay, there we have it. Now ready to meet c5 with pawn capture, and if knight bd7, we play knight e2 to buy us time for c3. Similarly on b6, knight e2 I like. Okay, c5, so black wants to play c4 and downgrade our bishop. And for this reason, we make slightly inferior strategic decision, trading our central pawn for side pawn. Now on the double attack, you wanna remember to not protect b4, c5 with b4, but to play knight e2. It's more important that we keep this guy on the board, stopping e5 push, keeping this bishop passive. It's all about having enemy bishop passive, so I protect with knight while also preparing future maneuver to put knight in the center. Knight e2, important move. Of course, I had many games like this already. c3, stopping the check. I could have also played the castle. Both moves are part of the plan. Will most likely be castling next. And knight is setting to d4. This is very important move because I see intermediate players that are learning the Jobava that, okay, they get to autopilot and play knight g3. Knight g3 is usually a fine move when you start maneuvering, but that happens only when you have a pawn on d4. So notice that we no longer have central foundation here. If you play knight g3, black will be able to, in the long run, break with d4 and activate that light square bishop monster. So it's very important you keep good grip over central square, and when choosing the knights, I see people are usually confused. You just want to prioritize the lesser active knight. So I play knight ed4. Rook goes to e1, open file, and then we'll see what happens with the queen. Queen can go to d2. Queen can also be placed on d2. Now when opponent does go b5, typical minority attack, you wanna watch out for b4 push, but as for now it seems that we can throw in knight takes c6 and then cb. So it doesn't quite work. We would be winning a pawn. I wonder if we start queen e2, can he go knight takes, and then b4? Yeah, so just for safety measures, I'm gonna play a3 first. It's also interesting, by the way, it's more advanced idea that I actually forgot we have, but I just remembered. I played it in many games also. You can do b4, forcing queen b6 and then a4, fixing the hook and then attacking the hook with play on the queen side. Tactical justification is b4, queen c3, rook c1, and you win knight on c6. I'm gonna play it more like simple thematic, and now opponent plays bishop b7, which in my opinion is slightly inferior because the queen side will get frozen. Normally, I feel this bishop belongs better on d7 because it supports a5, b4 advance. On b7, it looks active, but it's just staring into this pawn. So I'll start queen e2, and notice a5, never really a move because you lose b5. Take with knight, maybe taking with pawn also reasonable, but I like to avoid isolated pawn if possible. And if queen d6, maybe we can start playing queen e5, offer him endgame. It's not only move, we can also play for queen f3, but I like the endgame. Is such positions, I feel like it's very instructive to maneuver. also pretty difficult for opponent objectively. It's not like you play queen e5 hope chess. You just activate your queen so much to a degree where it just feels like a supercharger in the middle of the board, and the opponent kind of has to trade it and undouble your pawns. No, rook e8, just possible move, not really having a threat. Queen f3 possible, f3 possible, just to stop knight e4. Queen e5 still interesting because on a move like knight d7 you can rotate to the king's side, so perhaps that's what I'm gonna go for. I just need to make sure, okay, knight e4 is not trapping my queen. Knight e4, I mean, I just can't take with bishop. It doesn't really work. So I can do queen e5. It doesn't have a real follow-up, like what if rook c8 happens? Queen e5, rook c8. Can I do rook e3, rook g3? I would love. No, queen e5, rook e3 has knight g4. Yeah, I would like to play queen e5, but it doesn't have a follow-up. I don't see it, at least. In such positions, we can also just play g3, h4, or f3, g4, h4, queen e5. I think I'll play f3. So I'm not afraid of this pin, and I'm just controlling central square. Queen d6, I'll go for endgame, and slowly preparing simply to attack with pawns. Okay, so he does go knight d7, which indicates that e5 may be on the cards, which I like to see, as that will give us thematic endgame against isolated pawn. It's also possible, by the way, in these structures to consider this plan of just, let's say, rook d1, f3, g4, get the pawn all the way to h5, and then switch places, bishop b1, queen d3. So now because your pawn is on h5, you can never do g6, and then I want to do g5. Remove knight and remate. There's another way for things to unfold. Maybe just queen f2 now. Trying to meet e5 in advance, takes with knight, and just play some rook d1 or bishop f1. Bishop f1, knight c4. Okay, so let me unpin, firstly. Secondly, we'll decide. Also, he cannot do f6 anymore. Maybe in this position after knight e7 he has f6, e5. Because I cannot take on e6 due to the pin. So I've unpinned, and now e5 I have to take it. Maybe I don't have to take. I always rush with this. Could have also considered intermezzo. ed and maybe rook e8, bishop d7. So I take, rook d8, and then I take, and I could be up a pawn. But okay, I played simple. And now there's like a bunch of moves. I'm sure we're better with a bunch of moves, like rook d1, bishop f1. Even rook e3 isn't terrible either. Knight d3, rook d3. So rook e3 with the whole purpose of meeting knight c4 with takes, and at least I'm first on open file. See, I think I'll do it that way, actually. Happy to take with rook. I'm just wondering whether is he gonna get the minority attack going? Rook e3 may be a little bit over ambitious. I could play for safety measures bishop f1, and most likely after knight c4 I either played simple rook d1 or maybe rook e2. Yeah, rook e3, it's a bit inaccurate. I shouldn't have played like that. I should have played simple chess, bishop f1, but yeah, okay, rook c8. If he plays it slow, this is very much cookable. We can very much still cook him to rook e1. Because a5 before this pawn can become a target. There's many ways to handle this. I'm not sure which one was easiest. This is actually going to be a super nice game for me to analyze later in thematic structure. But I just do rook e1, rook e3, so okay, there we have it. You can think about winning open file or even trade. trade, rook e3, rook e8, knight f5 is good. So take rook e3, rook swap, b4. How badly do I want to play b4 myself? A, B, queen c4, trade. Yeah, I think I like b4. I mean, it's such a nice move to fix this pawn. I'm, on one hand, weakening c3, but just feels like fixing b5 is so nice. And I want to play queen c4, trade, and rook e3. And these endgames with queen knight against queen bishop are usually very pleasant. Still have a little bit of time on the clock, which is nice. Yeah, so he feels that trading is interesting. I don't know if it's interesting for him. I'll play rook e3 and rook has good support, controls file. I just need to look for some counterplay along the e file. But now rook e3, rook e8 may be powerful. Yeah, I think I need to swap his rook in order to limit the counterplay, and then I can just go queen back, safely defend, and we start squeezing. If I could trade both queens and rooks, this will be almost automatic win with two targets. Yeah, this would actually be so nice if we manage to convert it. It would be one of my favorite endgame plays in a while. But yeah, so bishop c6, he tries to stop that. He realized what I was trying to do. Still, maybe just rook e7. So the thing is, he's trying to stop, but I can use the time to activate. Idea rook e7 and some queen e5. Can also just play h4 and make a luft. Rook e7, it feels like good move, just making queen passive, taking away 7 trunk squares. I'm not sure I have a follow-up threat, but king f8 surely not a good move because I have queen e5. Okay, I mean, I'm still protecting a bit on the back. Okay, how do you call it? On the through the night on the X-rays. And okay, I was threatening to play queen d6, so bishop e, but now maybe I'm getting my rook a little bit stuck, although he has no threat. Is this? This is not a threat. I'd like to unpin, so maybe king f1 move with knight f5. King f1, he goes rook a8. Maybe just h4, it's time for me to play. Yeah, h4, so I can play king h2. Not have to worry about mate. If queen f6, I trade and I play rook e3, and all of his pawns are split. Wow, he would have a position with not 1, not 2, but 5 isolated pawns. I think he has to do it at some point not to get mated. I want to just play king h2, knight f5. And he cannot take this pawn on c3 because rook needs to guard bishop. Also, any f6 is met by queen e3. Yeah, so here we have it, taken rook e3. I have to protect, and now I have to maneuver my king. So maybe g4 to fix. I need to play fast. Minute left. Yes, he checks me, but I don't care much about his rook. Let's play h5, fix everybody. Can maneuver the knight later. This is still maneuverable. Can also play for knight f5 and play it based on king activity. Yeah, I think this is how we do it. We do rook d3, knight f5, takes, and then... Okay, never mind, it's stopped. Takes, king g7, rook e7, rook d3, f4. I cannot do it for now. Okay, maybe rook e2. Rook d3, rook c2. Flattening some ideas. How strong is rook d3, rook a2, rook c3, check. I kind of don't want to sacrifice. This can be played safer. Okay, so rook e3. Knight f5, takes, king g7, f4. d4 he has. I have 1 minute left. How do I maneuver? Knight b3, knight c5, maybe it's the key. So bishop will start running out of squares. Slightly. If bishop c8, then all of a sudden I have idea to bring rook. Okay, also knight c5, rook d3 and swap rooks. Yes, this is I like. Bishop c8, rook d3 I do. Wait. Knight takes. Okay, so let me play rook d3 and then we maneuver knight back. So rook d3 to keep pressure on the pawn. And now we go to f5. Take with king and should be maybe winning endgame. That way. So knight d4, bishop d7, knight f5, takes. It's going to be very difficult for him to defend the pawns. Yes, so knight d4. But now I'm double attack. What he did, he messed it up. I'll just play knight f5 for the content. Because it's getting to same position we were looking at. I don't need that free blunder. Take with king and then rook d5. So he cannot do king d6 as it's losing this. And now f4 I have. f4, king d6. So takes, rook f3, king e4, rook c3, rook b5. Maybe I messed it up. No, this is good. King d6, I have rook d4 and then I take that. Has to play rook g2. No, but now I take all the pawns. g5. Yes, this is winning. Okay. Winning. So rook g4 and now I have free push. I'll stop his pawn. Could have taken on f7, maybe cleaner, but I should be in time. Yes. Okay. 10 seconds. Should be plenty. Now this is routine. Oh. Don't freaking stalemate my beautiful win. Bro, why is this not ending? Okay, I mean... Finally, we managed to get it done somehow, but I almost messed it up at the end. Okay, very nice achievement. I feel like I don't know. At this point, I wasn't sure. In the end, this is felt like how endgame naturally goes, but rook g2 maybe saves. No, rook g2, I just take. What am I saying? No, not here. So rook d4, and now I wasn't sure. If rook g2, how do I progress? King takes f6? No, but king f6, rook g4, king f7, and my f-pawn runs. This should also be winning. Yeah, rook g2. Okay, also winning for white. Take, king f7. Yes, I mean, even though he gets to win that, my f-pawn is too fast. Oh, not now because of king e6. What? You can still mess this up? How? King g7, still king e6. So no, you just need to have rook utility. And then you move king as you can check. Wow. I feel like one of the most instructive games I've ever played myself. Definitely will put this in my upcoming Jobava course in the thematic endgame section. Okay, rook e3 was actually a strong move. I wasn't sure. I just knew we have... many options, bishop f1, anything but rook e3. It mixed very nicely with this b4 and yeah, I'm genuinely happy about this game. It was a very nice strategic example of how you're taking advantage of pawn weakness in the long run with the right trades and benefiting of king activity. So hope you guys like this one. And with that being said, we can move on to the following game. Right, everybody. Back with another white game facing Polish opponent, so 2400. Gonna be attempting a Jobava London, and I've been getting some interesting games lately. Let's keep them coming. So e3, bishop f5, entering the pawn storm. Okay, we have Slav pawn storm. Will he play with h6 or h5? When he plays with Slav, he's supposed to do h5, but h6 also possible. Yeah, okay, so this is actually one of the best variations for black. Now most people play knight d7, but knight g8 also an option. I'm gonna go for the pet line, the plug and play variation that I recommend for players below 2000, which is bishop d3, the universal recapture with the queen, long castle, easy game. Also possible to do knight h3, bishop g3, knight f4. It's a better way of playing according to the computer, but yeah, I like easy chess. So it does go g6 because one particular detail for h5, g5 positions is that white is threatening to push, and when black sidesteps, e4 takes, and e6 square usually becomes vulnerable in these lines. So g6 is a good idea. I'll start with knight e2, and now common mistake players make is knight b6, forgetting about bishop e5. So he's more supposed to play bishop g7, just going for short castle. And okay, I had a lot of games like this in the past. The idea is that e5 would be premature, and if black doesn't get a well-timed knight b6, knight a6, we should be doing fairly well. Okay. Now, if you give me time to play e4, king b1, bishop c1, knight g3, white is winning. But it is winning with an idea that is actually not really obvious at first glance if you haven't played this structure before. It's something thematic for closed games. Yeah, so I'm thinking to start e4. e4 with idea to do knight g3, knight e2, knight takes h5, and then play it like that. Opponent don't think has a good version of pushing e5 himself, and yes, knight a6. So here he goes, trying to, well, simply finish development. Interesting to perhaps consider bishop d6, rook e8, e5, and plant bishop in his half. And then same ideas are possible. The only thing that's like somewhat annoying is c5. It bothers me slightly. Although f4, cd4, queen takes. Tough to say. My instinct is to play simple knight g3, but then he has queen a5 and I have to do king b1. Perhaps a3 on knight a6 I like, but then b5, b5, b4. So I'm tempted to play a3, and in case of b5, then I plant. And I go e5. Because I know he's about to do queen a5 with this idea. This is really critical moment of the game now, which is why I'm spending time trying to understand how much counterplay is going to get after c5, f4, cd, and then queen takes, rook c8, knight g3, rook c4, queen d2, knight c5, knight e2, knight e2, knight. Very hard to say. Okay, I'm gonna play this way. I try to dig deep into the position. Only this move. I think it gives him interesting play, although maybe other maneuvers could have been considered. Okay, now, is this in time? Can I play knight g3, allow knight b4, take, and then knight e2? With the idea that okay, I'm about to unleash the frets. Also possible to maybe do knight f4 with knight b4 takes and then knight g6. Yes, I think that's how we played. Having direct idea. Okay, multi-purpose move in general also. I think he had to start with c5. Maybe it's not too late. The only problem with this variation is that, okay, I have I've analyzed it in the past, and if black plays everything precisely, it's small advantage because it's a good Slav setup, but it's really one of the very few when it happens. And also, I experimented a lot, even though computer likes it for black. Very few people can actually follow it up. Now c5. Like I expected. I really want to make this move work. Knight g6, cd. cd is annoying. Maybe just play king b1 and see what's up. Okay, maybe we'll have to swindle him. Play knight e2, knight e5. Nah, I don't like it. How about some knight h5, pawn takes g6? Problem is he has f6 and I don't see how we break through. Also, such knight d5 idea doesn't make sense either. Safe play indeed. Could be queen b5 and swap queens, cd and rook e1. But endgame is usually gonna be worse with pawn on e5. I don't know. Just played. I have to make a move. Couldn't find anything that I liked. Sometimes just gotta make it. Okay, so c4, queen d2 or queen e3. Guess queen e3 to avoid direct contact. This is too slow. My opponent has a blind spot for what's about to happen. But he thinks, okay, white doesn't have pawn play. I have pawn play. I'm crushing. Yes, but I have piece play. This is about to hurt. So my opponent is not sensing this idea. He wants to go for this b3 stuff, but it's gonna be too slow because I can sidestep. Can already go knight takes, but I don't have to. I'll do it with this one. If c3, I don't have to play b3 because then queen a3, although maybe b3, queen a3, and then I could just put knight on d3. It can be a sensible way of playing. Also, b3, queen a3, I have very hilarious tactic. You can pause the video and try to find. Maybe queen c3 even. But yeah, what happens if I play knight h5? He goes cb and vote. Knight h5, cb and vote. put knight on f6 check. Yeah, I can simply ignore this c3 move as I initially thought. Yeah, but the problem is, brother, you're underestimating Jobava attack. Now knight f6 is about to happen, so either you give me bishop or... yeah, okay, so knight f6. If bishop takes, then that's forced mate, so he's gonna try king h8. Now, usually I can force a bishop trade with queen d3, but then I'm gonna be a bit slow. So how do I do this precisely? Knight f6 and maybe I have to play pawn to f4 in that position. So I'm just enabling entry square for queen. Yeah, so I have to do knight f6 and f4 should be the win. I don't see he has any threat, so f4, and once the queen comes in, it should be Christmas. Isn't it Christmas? I can already smell like cinnamon. Queen h5 coming. Oh. Opponent almost there. Almost, but not quite. Oh, wow. Impressive move, sir. Except I don't have to take it. It was a clever attempt. He would have used my pawn as an umbrella, but... okay, now check. I can take, and he has no follow-up. Yeah, so he's one move away. But sadly... Cute little Jobava game in the Pawn Storm. So if you haven't seen this attack before, this is usually how you want to be able to break the ice while dealing with h5 structures. Without this positional knight sacrifice idea, you have no moves, but might as well generate you a lot of free wins. So I think with that being said, we can move on to the following game. All right, we've got 2400 opponent from Serbia. Let's see what he has against the Jobava, but yeah, when black plays d6 in this move order and delays the fianchetto, it's usually a sign that we're gonna have knight d7 e5 leading to a Philidor, which is gonna be quite interesting because we have never really covered it on the channel, which is what I'm trying to say. But let's go back into the Pirc. Okay, I'll go back into English attack territory. So there are many ways you can achieve something similar. Bishop e3 is arguably the most flexible move. It's just that yeah, for low elo players below 2000, I just prefer the plug and play f3. No need to allow the annoying knight g4 move that can lead to somewhat strange positions when your bishop's getting chased. So the plan is to go into long castle and attack the Pirc. Now, this is a moment of truth where we see if black actually knows how to play the Pirc well or not, because short castle is a pretty bad move. You are supposed to go for c6 instead. c6, and then depends on how white wants to play it, because the more computerish approach that I quite like personally nowadays is to go for a4, which is a bit strange as you rarely play that move in English attack. But point is for my opponent to do like c6, queen d2, and then some waiting move, let's say knight d7, because by delaying castling, whenever white plays bishop h6, black can go for takes. So yeah, I'm actually having a little bit of a problem recalling the line. I think it was c6, queen d2, then b5, bishop h6, If that happens, then black can go for a trade, take with queen, and many moves are possible. Anyways, I guess we don't have to get sidetracked with that and go for queen d2, the normal play. Now we get hit by e5, and this is gonna lead to a very interesting structure. So I have the option to castle, but I want to play d5, and this can take many directions. It was also quite interesting for him to play for c6, where I would have long castled and taken with a pawn, with idea to go g4, g5, and put a knight on e4. But on knight h5, okay, this is probably going to be connected with f5, knight f4 ideas. Now a5, just not such a good move in general. It feels like we have perfect timing for g4 move, and I'm going to give you an exercise. My opponent should play knight f4. He should try that. There it is. And I want you to pause the video and think about how would you approach this situation. So, very common mistake that I would see most of the players watching this around 1000 elo. People just go ahead, take twice on f4. Now, yes, you are kind of correct. That is a free pawn. But if you give up your precious dark square bishop, black is going to get way too much compensation. Just strategic compensation. Not that, okay, something immediate will happen. But if you're taking with the bishop in these positions, this is probably why you get in trouble. So the key idea is to, not panic and just do knight e2, threatening to take on f4 and win a pawn while keeping bishop pair. This is very important because later on I can still exchange enemy strong bishop. As for the time being, the bishop is restricted by its own pawn. And my opponent can never really sustain the knight with a move like g5, as that gets to become a hook, and white can play h4 and open up rook's path. So most likely we'll have trade. I take with bishop, and then we have easy push against his king, and he doesn't. Okay, so normal move, take with bishop, make room for the other rook to g1, get rooks connected. I sometimes wonder about knight takes, if let's say you need the knight in order to fight for h5 square. But yeah, it's not one of those cases. Opponent is really paralyzed, doesn't have any b5 ideas, no counterplay. He should try maybe c6, but even that can be ignored. So f5 isn't on the cards either. Yeah, I mean, already black is completely lost, I would say. Just a busted position because you have no pawn play available, and white has very easy intuitive moves. But whether that's gonna be the case or not, we'll have to see. I may have messed up good positions in the past. Now, important trade, similar idea, do not take on c5. This is such an important bishop. We need to use it to trade this guy eventually to get mate. I wouldn't rush with this trade because the bishop is not super active. The move that I want to play is h5. And usually in such scenarios, well, you may be very tempted to play bishop h6 and try to get quick mate. But I'm estimating opponent to play queen e7 or something of that nature, with the point that bishop h6, f6, and the queen joins defense, and it's not so clear. Also, queen e7, just so that if you ever take, black takes with f-pawn and the queen comes into defense. So I think the key idea would be to delay this move for as long as possible, knowing that opponent's plans to recapture with the f-pawn. So because we have extra space, we could benefit maybe from something like rook h3 and then rook h1. And queen h2, get all these like bayonet going, and only then take. Because if he wants to still recapture with the f-pawn, he's gonna lose h7. Now, I have a choice between either trying to completely block him or let him push so that I can sidestep. Probably both are very good. Yeah, since both are very good, I'm gonna prioritize the attacking move. It's a bit of a pity my bishop is staying in the way. Sometimes we would have had nice queen queen h2 move. It usually gets overlooked by the black players. Still on f5 takes rook dg1 is like kind of a crashing move. I'm just wondering, maybe it makes sense to play like pawn to g5 so that he never gets to do f5 because we just open up both files. Yeah, I'm thinking g5 just to sort of fix the weak pawn on h7 and also not have to worry about f5. So plan would be g5, rook dg1, put this bishop somewhere. Anywhere. Maybe d1. And then play queen h2. So if I do that and then I go, but still hg, fg, I don't get mate quite yet. Queen h7, king f7, I play rook h6. Yeah, I mean, it has to be crashing, but feels like there must be something even stronger. Okay, so how about that then? Rook h3, let's say 3b3, some random move, rook dh1. Pawn takes. Rook h7. Yeah, this is pretty good as well. In the case of f5, yeah, so this is what mistake I was doing in my calculation. So on f5, I said I go gf. Yeah, this is where I made silly mistake in my mind. Rook h3, f5, I can start intermezzo and then, yeah, this is crashing. See, guys, it's like I spent 3 minutes calculating some BS lines when he always the best move is the one that comes first to mind. So anything else you look, it's just stupid. No, rook h3, simple chess. Come on, double up and take. Yeah, f5, very important. Don't go gf. It's very tempting. Yeah, so he allows that. Threatening to take there. Now we get to open both files, which is huge. Okay, now, I mean, this has to be easy win. Come on. Just need to think for a little bit. Just important not to allow any discoveries like f4. So even a move like rook back should give us long-term strategic win just because enemy king has no pawn shelter. I'm just wondering if maybe there are some more energetic continuations possible. Yeah, you know what? Let's just play simple chess. No need to... again, I do same stupid mistake. I have intuition what is best move. I just overthink it. So, no, rook h1. Yeah, so he does f4. Yeah, obviously trying to keep the position closed. Now, there are two things we can consider. So feel free to pause the video and think about what would you do. The easy plan is bishop f2, idea to reroute it at some point. Bishop f2, rook g1. I mean, big advantage. I'm wondering, does it make sense to take? It's not a good move strategically, but maybe if we play bishop c4, then I'm threatening a very nasty discovery check, which he cannot really stop because bishop takes, queen d6 trying to blockade, runs into knight b5, removing the blockade, and then d6. Yeah, so this is probably quick win crashing. But I want to show you that, okay, I mean, you don't need to really find such precise sequences, although I should have gone for it because I just went below 1 minute. But point is, we can make easy moves. We're not really going to have to do any brilliant play. It's just that his king is weak in long run. I mean, maybe we will have to do a clever play. Okay, so b3. Could have maybe b4 as well, but yeah, just a simple sidestep. So knight goes back. I can activate this guy. Yeah, let's activate bishop and then maybe bring light square bishop. Trade my bad bishop for his good bishop. Sounds like a plan. Also bringing this knight into the game could be nice. Like knight d1, knight f2, knight h3, knight g5 and so on. Yeah, let's do it this way. Also making room for the queen. Okay, so queen e7. I'll trade bishop. Maybe it was clever to do it with knight d1, knight f2 first, but okay, whatever. Queen g2, potentially I have, yeah, like defending rook and pressure on bishop. Now bishop f6 also has to watch out. Okay, so I need to infiltrate with this rook and also maneuver knight. I'll just make bishop move, idea to go there and maybe make room for the rook as well. Just, I have loose knight, I need to be careful, but yeah, king d2 protects it quite easily in case that's needed. Okay, he's really provoking me to bring all the pieces into the attack. Let's do it. I'm sure this is not like the fastest way to win, but I find it instructive. Okay, if he takes, I get e4 square. e4 can try to activate bishop, but he's pinned everywhere, so shouldn't be enough. Now I have queen h2, bishop f6, and mate idea. Yeah, queen h2, okay, threatening mate. Has to go back. Do I have rook h8 still? Nah, it doesn't work. It would have been so beautiful. Pity. Wait, what's this? Okay. Dude, I literally have 8 seconds. I'm totally gonna get flagged. My God. So stupid. He shouldn't have taken, but he did. Knight g8, bishop f6 is classy move. Okay, opponent paralyzed, completely busted. I have queen takes g8, rook g7 coming. He's gonna try some douchebaggery on me. You love that part when they try the douchebaggery. Yeah, here it is, of course. Okay, queen h7 mate. Let me do that. Rook g2 has now. If he plays rook g2, I'll be very mad. Oh, I should have taken that. Oh my God. What are we doing here? Okay, you know what? Let me do this. Yes, okay. Okay, some justice. Some justice. Some justice is finally made. He thought he's getting a queen and then escapes. Not on my watch, son. Okay. Thanks everybody for making it all the way this far into the video. Leave a like and I'll catch you in the next one.